Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield.
All right, let's go, Springfield. Time to 10x your life, your business, all of it. Time to crush those goals. Time to get after it. Let's go. You are listening to the Elevate Springfield podcast. Robert Farrell here, certified 10X coach, speaker, and mentor, here to bring you actionable strategies. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together we're going to elevate Springfield. We're coming to you again from beautiful downtown Springfield in the Big Dog Construction Studio. Hey, we've got so much going on in Springfield right now. Make sure you are participating. Get out there, network with folks, be a part of the community, support local businesses, support local nonprofits, and let's go. We can all grow together. So, hey, another great episode for you today. We're going to get right to our guest after the break. Hey, Springfield, when it comes to reliable, high-quality roofing, you don't want to leave things to chance. That's why you should reach out to Acosta Angeli Roofing, your local roofing expert, serving Springfield and surrounding communities. From quick, dependable repairs to full replacement, from residential to commercial, they are your trusted pros. Call them today at 217-993-2748 or visit their website to book your free quote and inspection. Don't wait. A little leak now could lead to major damage later. Trust the local experts, protect your home, and get peace of mind with Acosta Angeli Roofing. And we are back. Joining me in the studio now, gentlemen I've gotten close with over the last couple of months, met in one of our groups that we're in, Mr. Timo Arthur. How you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. How you doing, Robert?
Fantastic. Appreciate you popping in this morning, downtown Springfield.
Thanks for having me, man. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, you work not too far down the road anyway, but good stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit. And Timo here has had a great music career. We're going to talk about some of his travels and things like that. But let's first start with learning a little bit about Timo. What's your background like, man?
I grew up in Milford, Connecticut, and so I'm born and raised New Englander. I lived there from birth to 19 years old, and then from there I've been bouncing all over the world. I lived for 15 years in Boston. My father is from Barbados, so I lived there when I was like 20. I was in a calypso band there, and then came back to America. Like I said, lived in Boston, lived in 9 states total.
Wow.
And I lived in Arizona and California and Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina and there's probably a few others that I can't think of at the moment.
All those areas you just said were pretty beautiful places too.
Definitely, yeah. I lived in Shanghai, China for a while too.
Man.
And that was another music opportunity.
So 19 years in Milford.
Yes.
How's Milford compared to, say, Springfield here?
I definitely miss the beaches of Milford. Milford is on the coast of Connecticut, kind of like the southern coast of it. And not that there's a northern coast, but it's like southwestern part of the state. And it's a beautiful town. It's a population of about 50,000 people. Like I said, it's got several beaches there. There's a lot of commerce there. And this is just a beautiful Connecticut town. And it's very close by to New Haven, which is the best pizza in the country.
Talked about that one time, yeah.
I will die on that hill, man.
What makes it the best? What do they do differently?
It's literally something in the water. It's something like that whole area, like the tri-state area is like Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. There's literally something in the water there that makes any doughy products just unlike anywhere else, like bagels or breads or whatever.
Literally in the water. Some people say it's in the water as an expression, but you're just saying literally
it is in the water. And there's, of course, a big Italian population there. And they're obviously very big on pizza and just Italian food in general. So they know how to do it. And there's a restaurant there called Frank Pepe's Pizza. and that's in New Haven. The original one is in New Haven. They've since opened other locations. They've even opened some in Florida, and they ship water from New Haven down to Florida just to get the pizza.
Wow.
Yep.
Really is the water. Okay.
Yes, sir.
My granddad, he's since passed, but his family is from Worcester,
Massachusetts.
Worcester, Massachusetts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worcester.
Yeah, exactly. That's how he used to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So don't really have much family out there anymore, but I'm going to make a trip out there. And when we do, we'll go check out your pizza.
Now here's a funny thing. There's Worcester, Massachusetts, and then the street that the two best pizza places are on is Worcester Street in New Haven. However, except in Massachusetts' case, they put a whole bunch of extra letters in the word that they really don't need to be there. But in New Haven, it's just pronounced, I think it should. It's spelled, I think it should, Woostr. And then in Massachusetts, it's like Worcester.
Yeah. It's spelled like Worcester or something.
Right, but it's just pronounced Worcester. Why y'all smoking over there in Massachusetts, man?
Exactly. So I remember him saying that. Worcester. So,
Worcester. Yeah.
All right. So growing up there, is that where you really started taking on music? Is that where you really got into that?
Yeah. Both sides of my family have some kind of deep musical roots. My mother played the cello, as did her mother, and my mother played in some local orchestras and stuff. And we also had an upright piano in the house, and my mother also played the flute, and my dad played guitar, but just around the house. And with my father being from Barbados, he would normally play these old calypsos. So in my house, it was a broad musical spectrum from classical music to calypso music. It's a pretty wide spectrum.
Yeah. Anybody out there that might not know what calypso is, can tell us a little bit about that, what style that is?
Its home base, if you will, is actually Trinidad, which is about 100 miles or so from Barbados, and it's 7 miles north of the coast of Venezuela.
Okay.
It's a very rhythmic music, and it's developed a lot, of course, from its early days to contemporary. Now there's a thing called soca, which is more popular now than traditional calypso music was. But I'm more of a fan of the more traditional style calypso, like stuff that was popular like in the 70s or 80s. When I moved to Barbados in 1995, it's funny because I was actually living in Vermont at the time because my aunt had a farm up there. I had been staying there for several months. I was just dreadfully tired of the cold weather. And I'd already lived in Arizona, and that thinned out my blood.
Sure.
So I'm like, I don't want to be stuck in the mountains of Vermont up to my knees in snow, watching reruns of Murder, She Wrote with my uncle.
Sure.
So, and my parents were now living back in Barbados. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Barbados because that is the complete opposite of what this is. I ended up booking a flight and moving down there. And 4 days after I get there, my father, who worked as an editor for a newspaper down there, he got me an audition with some calypso band. Now, I'd grown up listening to calypso music, but I'd never really tried to play it.
Oh, never really played it yet?
I could play a basic calypso rhythm, but that was about the extent of my calypso skills. So I go to the band house where this band practices, and I meet with them and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, ain't no way I'm going to get into this band. So we just start playing something, and I explained to them, look, I've grown up listening to calypso music, so I'm familiar with it, but I've never really tried to really play it. That's okay, Brian. It'll be fine. And so we play, and everything goes pretty well. Like later on that day, I get a call saying, yeah, man, we'll let you in the band. I'm like, okay.
Let's go.
And it's crazy because I didn't know the extent to which this band was. They were a pretty well-known band.
Uh-huh.
And so all these singers start coming to the house to rehearse with us, and I'm not making anything of it. I'm just going with the flow. And so one day I'm watching television, and there's a commercial comes on for the Calypso Spectacular concert at the Barbados National Stadium. I'm like, what's this about? And I'm listing all these singers and artists and bands that are going to be there. Mm-hmm. And then I hear them mention my band. I'm like, what? So at the next rehearsal, I'm like, we're playing the stadium?
Like the stadium?
No. Whoa. Okay. And so we get to the stadium for the sound check. And it's a big stage and all these big sponsors, Toyota and Coca-Cola and everything. I'm like, I made it.
I'm in.
I'm into the big time. And I think that was that. And come to think of it, I think that may have actually been my first paying gig.
Your first paying gig was a stadium gig.
It was a stadium gig in front of 12,000 people.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So how'd that feel, though? Get out there in front of 12,000 people on the first. Do you feel like you had the nerves that day?
Yeah. I was obviously a little nervous kind of leading up to it, but you just go with it. I'm not going to check it out now.
No, absolutely not.
So, all right, just get up there and do your thing. And it was fun. And not all the gigs that I played with that band were like that, of course. But we did play two stadium shows. And then the rest were just like club dates and like schools and that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So how long were you with that group?
I was with them about 9 months.
Okay.
Sometimes I look back, I'm like, why did I leave Barbados? That was this tropical paradise. I had a good music thing going there, but my thinking was I was going to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Okay.
And that was the plan. And I did end up going there.
So that's why you came back then at that point, is because you wanted to go to college there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So walk us through that. What is it? So Berklee.
So Berklee College of Music in Boston. A lot of people confuse that with Berklee in California. Two very different things. They're spelled differently. And then, of course, they're on opposite coasts and everything. But so Berklee College of Music is, a lot of people regard that as almost like the Harvard of music schools. And it's very prestigious. And it's a pretty jazz-oriented school. I'm not really a jazz guy per se, but it's definitely more like for contemporary music, whereas a place like Juilliard in New York City, that's more classical kind of thing. So I moved to Boston in 1996 and started attending Berklee College of Music. And to make a long story short, I attended it for 3 years and then I dropped out because some people were saying, oh, I only had one more year to go. I should have just stayed in and got the degree and all that. Music is not a thing where you really need a degree. And secondly, it was just starting to drive me a little crazy. I was getting to the point where I knew like too much about the music. I couldn't listen to a piece of music without automatically analyzing it. Oh, they're playing the dotted eighth note there on the flat 13 chord. No, I don't want to be like that.
A little too much technical and losing a little bit of the art type of thing.
Berklee had a reputation for producing these like robotic musicians that knew a ton of theory and could play technically very well, but it's just missing that soul factor. So I dropped out, but I stayed in Boston and just started gigging around town and like networking with other musicians and stuff, jams and that kind of thing. And there was this one place called the Cantab Lounge in Cambridge, in Central Square, Cambridge. Cambridge is right next to Boston. The Charles River is the dividing line. And there was this about 5'6" black dude who ran the jam named Little Joe Cook.
Okay.
And he was a character. And he would always say to the crowd, all you hamburgers and cheeseburgers.
That was his line?
That was his line. He was referring to the crowd as hamburgers and cheeseburgers. And he could never remember how to say my name. It's really not that complicated. It's Timo. My real name is Timothy, but I've gone by Timo pretty much ever since I was a kid, except for when I was a teenager, when I went more by Tim. But then back in my 20s, I decided to use Timo. And he said, all right, all you hamburgers and cheeseburgers, we're going to bring up a young man goes by the name of Tomo. And he would do that like every week to the point where I think this guy's doing this on purpose.
He's just messing with you now.
And then one day I'm there. He's like, all right, all you hamburgers and cheeseburgers, going to bring up a young man goes by the name of Tupac. I'm like, whatever, man. Just go with it.
But that heard some cheers when he said Tupac was coming out.
Yeah, and then they were disappointed.
Like, wait a minute.
Then when I showed up, but yeah, I played with a few bands in Boston and I gigged around a lot and played all over the New England circuit. Spent 15 years doing that. And then there came a point where Boston just started to become too familiar. And I just got tired of the same old sights and playing the same old places all the time. And so I decided to leave. But so I was talking about Shanghai too. So in 2011, and I was playing at the Cantab Lounge, and there was a band there. The band that was going to be going to Shanghai was there. The guitar player that they had originally gotten for their contract over there backed out at the last minute. And so that's why they came to the Cantab in hopes of finding somebody. And so that night I was actually in the house band. And so I do the opening set and then get down from the stage, and then the drummer from the band that's going to be going to Shanghai comes up to me, introduces himself. I don't know this guy at all. And he starts saying he's looking for a guitar player. I'm like, here's my card. Because I hear that a lot, and give people my card, and hardly anyone actually ever follows through.
Sure.
So then he starts talking about how the gig is in Shanghai, China. I was like, whoa, what? And he needs to know by tomorrow morning if I can leave in a month to go spend 3 months in Shanghai, China to play at this club six nights a week, and pretty much all travel expenses are paid, put us up in apartments and all that. Like I said, I don't know this guy at all. But the bass player that was in the house band with me that night knew who he was.
Okay.
So I checked with him. I was like, is this guy cool, man?
He's trying to get me to go to Shanghai for 3 months.
He's trying to Shanghai me. And he's like, yeah, man, yeah, he's cool, man. I'm like, okay. Because the club was going to be faxing over the contracts the next morning or the next afternoon, which is why he needed to know by tomorrow morning if I can do this. And he seemed like a good guy, and my bass player friend vouched for him. And if I had told him no, that would have really put him and his band in a really bad spot. And I'd never been to China before. And by this time, I would consider myself a Christian then. I wasn't as devout as I am now.
Sure.
I wasn't as obedient then, but as I am now. But I'm like, you know what? God has put this opportunity in front of me to go somewhere I've never been, do something I've never done, and here's the opportunity to help out somebody else. So I could do that, or I could just stay in Boston doing the same thing I've been doing for years with no change. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to China.
Going to China, let's go.
And so I called him the next morning, said, yeah, man, I'm in. And so I ended up going to China. And so I ended up going there twice because we went back-to-back years. So the first time I was there for 4 months, and it was originally supposed to only be 3 months, but I just had such a good time there that I don't want to go back.
I'm gonna stay a little longer.
So I stayed an extra month, and then the following year, I had left Boston, and I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina, with my sister, and I was working at a Subaru dealership as a salesman. The worst job I've ever had in my life, because I'm just I love cars. That's why I've always worked at car dealerships. That's why I work at Isringhausen now. But sales is not my thing. And so I was about 2 or 3 months into this sales job at this Subaru dealership. I love the car, just hated the position of salesman. And so I get an email from the same drummer who hired me for last year to say, hey, they want us back for this summer.
Sure.
So, are you available? I'm like, absolutely.
I will be there.
We'll pack my bag tonight. And so, thank God he sprung me out of that job. Mm-hmm. I was just elated to go back to Shanghai. And so this time the contract was for 4 months. And the same thing, just playing 6 nights a week at this same club for 4 months. And it's funny because I arrived there on my birthday. So this was 2012. I turned 38, so now you know how old I am now. And within 5 minutes of me walking into the club, they brought me out a birthday cake.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, this is a great welcome.
That's cool, yeah.
And so I played for 4 months, and then again, I didn't want to come back here. Uh-huh. I stayed an extra 2 months, and I got my visa extended like twice. But then they wouldn't extend it anymore. And then plus, I had a 6-month window to use my return ticket. If I didn't use it within that 6 months, I was going to lose it.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, God, I hear you.
I'm heading back.
I need to go back home. Okay,
Yep.
I don't really want to, but okay.
I love that though. That first time you said, just yes, I'm in. Let's go. Love that.
Absolutely.
So what genre did you guys play over there? Were you just covering a bunch of stuff, or were you playing your own music? What did it look like?
It was a kind of a mix of covers and originals. We didn't do any of my stuff.
Okay.
So it was pretty much like covers and then the drummer's original stuff because he was the band leader.
Okay.
But we were a big hit at this club. I mean, especially on the weekends, it was always a good crowd.
Yeah.
And we were like written up in the local paper and stuff about how this band got thrown together at the last minute to come over to Shanghai. And we were pretty popular over there.
Love it. So the covers that you did, was it mostly like popular American stuff or classic stuff?
It was a mix of blues and like rock, R&B, kind of a mix of everything.
Nice.
The band was called Tony Hall's Blues Mission.
Okay.
And we did, like I said, we did Tony's stuff, and then we did like some Rolling Stones, and we did even some like funk kind of stuff, and some R&B, and just a mix of everything.
Okay. All right. So you came back to the States, whether you really wanted to or not.
Yeah.
You came back. What was next?
I came back when I came back from Shanghai the second time, so I had left from Charlotte, North Carolina at that time. I'm like, I don't want to stay in Charlotte. So when I got back, I almost immediately moved down to Atlanta, which is only like 4 hours away. And my brother lives in Atlanta. So I moved there, and then again, a similar thing. I just started hitting the jams, and then I ended up meeting this female upright bass player at one of the jams. And she's a super cool lady, very smart, and really played the upright bass well. And so I ended up like meeting her at her house, and we're just like jamming and stuff, just as a duo kind of a thing. And then we start playing some gigs around town, and then we are encouraged to enter the Atlanta Blues Challenge. Now, some background on the whole Blues Challenge thing. So in Memphis, every January, they have this thing called the International Blues Challenge, or the IBC. It's put on by the Blues Foundation.
Probably huge over there.
Yeah, they're definitely a very well-known organization there. And so we're like, I don't know if we really want to do that, because I had been to the IBC once before with a band from Boston. I used to play in Boston with a singer named Diane Blue, and we entered the Massachusetts Blues Challenge, and we won.
Nice.
And then that got us sent to Memphis to compete in the International Blues Challenge. And so I had already been through it. I'm like, wasn't really that impressed with it, quite honestly, with the whole process. But we decided, what the heck? All right, fine. And so we compete, and we rehearse and stuff and come up with the songs we're going to do. And we compete in the Atlanta Blues Challenge. Now, they have two categories. They have the band category and then the solo duo category. And so we were in the solo duo category, and we won.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah. And it was me singing and playing guitar, just her just on bass. And so then that puts us in the IBC in Memphis. So the Atlanta Challenge was in like September or so of 2013. And then the IBC was like that January in 2014. And so we compete and we play really well, but we didn't advance, unfortunately. And looking back, I think I know why, because they really put an emphasis on like original music, and we did a mix of originals and covers. And I think that's what kind of sank us. Even though we sounded really great, we lost points for doing some covers.
Sure.
Anyway, but it was at that IBC that I meet Brandon Santini, who was by then a fairly established blues artist in his own right. And so we get to talking, and he likes my playing and everything. And so we exchange information and stuff. And 2 or 3 months later, he calls me and offers me a spot in his touring band.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, all right, I'm already doing all these gigs with this other bass player. Let me get back to you on that. And so I tell her about it, and she's like, clear your schedule and take this gig. I'm like, really? I was like, yes. I'm like, what about our gigs? And just, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking the gig and spent the last 11 and a half years touring with him. And so I moved, because he was living in Memphis at the time. I was living in Atlanta. So I ended up moving to Memphis, lived there for about 4 years. And then Brandon moved up here to Springfield because his girlfriend lives up here. And so I ended up moving up here about a year after he did. And I've been here ever since. Now, I don't play with him anymore. We've parted ways.
Sure.
But I've come to really like Springfield. And of course, Westside is my favorite church ever.
Absolutely.
So it would be really tough to leave that. And that's how I ended up in Springfield.
Well, okay. So that touring with Brandon, where all did you guys tour? Just all over the country or international too? Or what'd you do?
We mostly all over the country, but we've been to Europe a couple times. We've been to India. We've been to Mexico. We've gone all over Canada. Because of Brandon, I've either been to or through every continental state.
Okay.
I've been to, even before him, I had been to quite a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
But since being in that band, I've completed the continent, if you will. And then I've also gotten to go to some other countries that I never would have gone to. I've been to 15 countries total, 2 of which I lived in, and others I just went to traveling with him. Been to Europe, been to, not with him, France and Belgium. Those were not with him, but with Brandon. I've been to Switzerland, been to Amsterdam, been to Germany, been to Poland.
Nice. So all those places that you've been, what are some of the favorite things you had about touring, or maybe what are some of the lessons you've learned from all these places you've been?
I love touring. I love traveling, getting to see the world. And it's funny because I've been spoiled in some ways, in this sense where I've gotten to see a lot of the world on someone else's dime. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, not a lot of people get to say that you get to travel the world on somebody else's dime.
Yeah, I've been to the other side of the world literally twice on someone else's dime. But it's just been, my favorite thing about going to other countries is the exposure to the culture there and the different foods there. I've been noticing lately that I think I've come to enjoy eating almost as much as I enjoy playing guitar.
Sure.
Maybe even more so sometimes. But I love traveling and seeing new places and experiencing different things. And that's my favorite thing. The one drawback is, especially touring in America, is that a lot of times our tours would start and or end with some 12-hour drive going to or coming from wherever it was. And I did the bulk of the driving.
Gotcha.
So I drive like 7, 8, 9 hours.
Is it like your typical like big tour bus type of deal or no?
Nope.
No?
Just a van.
Just a van? Yeah.
Yeah, the tour buses, that's for all the rich folks. That's for the rock stars. I haven't made it to that level yet. But I've always dreamed of touring in a tour bus. It's kind of my ultimate dream, is touring arenas in a tour bus and
heck yeah, and
doing that whole thing. But I've yet to get that far with it. I've been on a couple of buses. Actually, there was one gig that we traveled in a bus to. So when I was living in Memphis, the drummer had an old tour bus.
Okay.
That used to belong to, I think it was Sammy Kershaw.
Oh, really?
Country singer.
Yeah.
And so we were doing a gig in Jackson, Mississippi. And so we traveled on that bus from Memphis to Jackson. And technically I have toured on a tour bus.
There you go.
Even if it was only for a few hours and back. But I And then the other buses I've been on, just as a visitor, really, Government Mule, who I'm a big fan of, and also Jimmy Vaughn.
Yeah.
So I've been on their buses, but never traveled with them.
And so all these places you've been still found no better pizza than New Haven, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
Just want to double check. You said you're into the food at all these places. Just wanted to double check that.
There's a guy in Shanghai he was actually from, I think, Alabama, and owned a club in Shanghai. He had very good pizza. I was surprised at how good this pizza was. And he's from Alabama. Pizza in Alabama? But I know they have pizza in Alabama. But
they're not known for their pizza.
Exactly. Definitely not. But this guy was a really cool guy, and he had excellent pizza. I'm like, all right, I mean, it's not as good as New Haven, of course. Nothing is, but it was very good.
There you go. Yeah. So on your travels, did you ever come across any artists like early on in their career, and then later on, everybody knows their names?
Closest one that comes to my mind is Susan Tedeschi.
Okay.
Who was from the Boston area originally. And when I met her, she was established. She was definitely on her way up at this point. She had come out with a record called Just Won't Burn that was getting a lot of acclaim and everything. And then since then, of course, she's just hit the stratosphere. Mm-hmm. She's gone on to huge things. So I did catch her and before she started really getting big.
That's awesome.
So I think that's the only one I can really think of. Even Government Mule with Warren Haynes and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was living in Vermont at the time, and he was coming through town. He was playing this little club where I went to my first blues jam, and that's really what put me on the blues path. I was going to this blues jam. And everyone was talking about, hey, this guy, Warren Haynes, was going to be coming through. Man, you should check him out. I'm like, okay. And I was only like 20, so I wasn't really even old enough to get into the bar yet. But even when I went to the blues jam, the guy carted me at the door. I'm like, look, I'm not 21. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not 21. And he's trying to tell me that he can't let me in. I'm like pleading with him. I just want to look at and check out the music. I promise you, I'm not even going to try to drink. I just want to watch the music. All right. So he had me like stand about like 10 feet from the door, just so we can keep it.
Just so he can watch you the whole time.
Exactly. And I think by the second time or so I was there, people started sneaking me beers.
That happened?
Yeah. So at the first like Warren Haynes show that I seen there, it was the original lineup of Government Mule. It was Warren Haynes on guitar, Alan Woody on bass, and Matt Apps on drums. But they weren't called Government Mule yet. It was just Warren Haynes. And then I think they came back around maybe several months or a year later. Now they were Government Mule.
Gotcha.
So I got to see one of the first Government Mule tours.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now you're, like you mentioned, you're using your talents at Westside to serve there.
Yep.
You're a mainstay up on stage. See you up there a lot, do a phenomenal job. What got you into Westside, just serving in that capacity at Westside?
When I moved to town, I was looking for a church, of course. And so I just Googled churches in Springfield. And when I lived in L.A., I was roommates with this girl who went to the West Angeles Church of God in Christ, which is a predominantly Black church. And their music was just phenomenal, man. And of course the preaching was just absolutely amazing too. But I think that's really what kind of got me in the mindset, like from now on, any church I go to, the music has to be on point. And I'm not really big on like the traditional style churches. I definitely appreciate it, of course. And I would never disrespect that ever. But for my own personal taste, the way I like to do church, I like more of a contemporary kind of a thing. So I think I went on like YouTube or something. I don't remember. I'm just guessing must be what I've done. Checked out their music. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, they got some music. There you go.
Sounds pretty good.
Uh-huh.
All right. So let me go check this church out. And I just instantly felt like this is my spot. And so I just started attending, and then I wanted to of course, I really had my eye on getting into the band.
Sure.
But so I went on to the volunteer page at Westside, but they didn't list the band. I'm like, okay, but they listed the production team. That's my end right there.
There you're in. There's your foot in the door.
Yeah, yeah. And so I started volunteering for the production team and working the cameras and stuff. And then that's how I got to meet Eric Goodman, who's the worship leader there, the worship team leader. Got talking with him, talked about my background and everything in music. And so he put me on, and I've been on ever since.
Love it. How many years has that been now?
It's got to be 4 or 5 years, something like that. I've been living in Springfield for 7 years now, but I don't think I've been going to the West Side that whole time. So I feel like there's a little bit of a gap there that I can't quite explain.
Sure.
But
there was those couple of COVID years that were weird for everybody.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yes.
Probably part of it.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I got, like I said, into the worship team at Westside.
Yeah, you do a phenomenal job up there.
Thanks.
You also mentioned you're working down at Isringhausen. We were talking before we went on air here that part of your touring and part of you moving around the country, you've always worked at car dealerships in some capacity.
Yes.
So what do you do down at Isringhausen?
I'm a porter, which is a pretty low-level job, quite honestly, but I would typically have more of a low-level job just because that would offer me the flexibility to tour when I have to. So it's funny. I've been a porter at several car dealerships, and I'm just essentially, it's very similar to just a valet kind of a thing. It's essentially parking cars or bringing them back up once they've been serviced, and then other light duties around the dealership.
Yeah. They got some beautiful cars down there too now.
They do. They do. It's funny, when I moved to Springfield at first, and I discovered Isringhausen, I'm like driving by, I'm like, ooh, look at that, them pretty cars. I got to get a job there. And I had worked at a Mercedes dealer in Boston. There was this one dealership with this kind of chain of dealerships there called Herb Chambers. And then they probably had literally like 25 or 30 dealerships in the New England area. So I got a job there at a Herb Chambers Honda. So that's what's really started my path onto working at car dealerships. And then I quit that job and then ended up doing something else for a while, and then decided to go to the Mercedes dealer because there was also Herb Chambers Mercedes. So I started working there. And like I said, worked for a whole bunch of other car dealerships since then. And then when I lived in Memphis, I was working for a BMW dealership there. So by the time I come to Springfield and apply to Isringhausen, like I've already got like high-end car.
You're already in the high-end arenas.
Yeah. And plus I've worked at all these other dealerships too.
Uh-huh.
But I had applied online, but I never heard anything back. And okay, I should have followed up, but I just didn't for whatever reason. So after like my second time applying and not hearing anything back, like after 2 or 3 months, I'm like, let me just go down there.
Yeah.
So I went down to the dealership and spoke with the service manager there and said I had sent a couple applications in online, never heard anything back. And so he interviewed me on the spot and told him about my experience working at car dealerships. And so he hires me, and literally 3 or 4 days after my first day, I get COVID.
No. Yeah.
This is like March of 21. And so I'm like, oh, this is not going to look good. Now I have to call in sick for the next week.
When I got hired.
3 days after I start working. But it's not my fault.
It is what it is at that time.
Yeah. So anyway, I can't work for a week now. And so once I got over COVID, then, okay, now I'm in and I'm solid and I'm not going anywhere. But I was still with Brandon at the time. But because of COVID, we weren't touring because everywhere was shut down. But I told the service manager, his name is Anthony Hofgren, like in the interview, like I am a touring musician typically. And we're not touring anytime till maybe like the end of the year. But between now and then, I can be here. But come like November, December-ish area, I'm going to be touring. And That's fine. All right, cool. And then it plays out pretty much exactly like that. And so now it's getting to the point where I'm having to be gone a lot. And so they end up hiring someone else to do my job. And that I've become what's just known as, well, there is just a driver, where it's just like an on-call kind of a situation.
Sure.
Where if they need to go pick up someone's car from Quincy or somewhere else far away, Champaign, whatever,
Sure.
then they'll send me out there with a loaner and then give the customer the loaner, drive their car back. And then once it's done serviced, okay, then drive their car back, bring the loaner
Swap back out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I was actually doing for the BMW dealership too in Memphis.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Good deal.
Yep.
So with your music, you write some of your own music too,
Yes.
right? You touched on it a little bit. Take us through your process of how you write your music.
I don't necessarily know that I have a process necessarily.
Yeah.
It just
flows.
Just flows. Especially when I started out as a teenager, I would just be at home just playing guitar, and I would accidentally play like a chord progression. Then I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'll try to write something based off of that, come up with the melody and the lyrics and kind of base it around that chord progression. And that's often how I've written songs. And sometimes I'll just get like a song title in my head. Oh, that's a cool title. Let me write around that. Or then other times it'll just be, I just get this idea in my head for a song and just develop it from there, get my guitar, try to figure out what the chords are. And so there's different processes to it. Just whatever I'm feeling in at the moment.
Cool. You've got your guitar here with you today.
Yes, sir.
And we talked about playing a little something. This will be the first time ever I've had live music on my podcast.
Wow.
So I think this will be really cool. So
hey, man.
What are we going to play today?
I think I'm going to do a song that I wrote in tribute to Eva Cassidy. A lot of people don't know who she was. She was a singer who died in 1996. She was only 33. She died of cancer, and she never really got very famous in her lifetime. But from articles and stuff that I read about her, that's how she would have wanted it, because she was not about fame at all. She was all about the music and just the quality of the music. And her voice is the most purest, most angelic voice you could ever imagine. It will literally, she has a version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow that will literally bring you to tears. It's happened to me. I will listen to her music and I'm man enough to admit I will cry, just weep at just the beauty of her voice and just the pure angelic quality of it. And so I wrote a song in tribute to her called Sing Me Into Heaven. And the message of the song is like, when it's my time to go, I want her singing me into heaven.
Okay.
Because it's just, I can't imagine a more beautiful voice than that, welcoming me in to heaven.
Love it.
So I wrote this song for her. And when I recorded it, I actually played it on piano. And I was able to get her brother, Daniel Cassidy, who plays violin, to play violin on the song.
So cool.
Yeah. It's on Spotify. All my original stuff is on all the streaming platforms and stuff. But I didn't bring my piano today. I brought my guitar.
All right. Let's hear it. Let's get set up.
Sing Me Into Heaven. Sing me into heaven, angel. Let your voice bring me home. When my time comes to leave this world, may your beauty lead me on. I've never heard a sound so sweet. Woman, you serenade my soul. and tears of joy stream down my face as your spirit takes control. Sing me into heaven, angel. Let your voice bring me home. When my time comes to leave this world, may your beauty lead me on. Even if the wrongs I've done run deeper than the sea, if the Lord above lets me in, I want to hear you sing to me. Sing me into heaven, angel. Let your voice bring me home. When my time comes to leave this world, may your beauty lead me on. Sing me into heaven. Won't you bring me home? Sing me into heaven. May your beauty lead me on.
Come on. Good stuff, man. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Come on, give it up for Timo. Feel like I need a bunch of people in here clapping for you, brother. That was good. That was awesome, man. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, first time live music on Elevate Springfield, man. I love it. I love it. Timo, so much great stuff today. I like to close out with these last couple of things. So, let's give the audience a piece of advice, one on the personal side, one on the professional side, to help them elevate their life or business.
On the personal side, I would definitely say put God first in all you do. And on the professional side, I would say put God first in all you do.
Sure. There you go.
I used to be an atheist. I just rejected the whole idea of God, but man, being wrong about that is literally the best thing that has ever happened to me. And it's taken me a while to put God first in my own life, but ever since I've done that, I'm so much better. I'm so much happier. I'm more at peace. I treat others better. There's just an endless amount of benefits to it, not just to me, but to other people.
Sure.
Absolutely. So I can't think of any better advice to give anybody on any subject.
There you go. Well, it might roll right into this one too then. Is there anything we can do community-wide to help all of us here elevate Springfield and the surrounding communities?
I would just say give your time. Help someone out. Go out of your comfort zone. Even if you have to go out of your way to help somebody else. The Lord tells us all to love our neighbor. And that He's not just talking about the person who lives next to you. He's talking about every human being. Talk to people you wouldn't normally talk to. Help someone you wouldn't normally help. Just love everybody, man. And just, that's all I can say.
There you go. No, that's great. So remind everybody, hey, where they can go. You talked a little bit about it earlier about your music, but hey, if they want to learn more about you, check out some of your music, stuff like that, where do they go?
You can go to TimoArthur.net. That's TimoArthur.net. I have a bunch of my music there and some videos, and you can learn some background about me. I also have a bunch of songs on like Spotify and Apple Music and all those kind of things. Yep. So that's it.
Appreciate you coming down and spending some time with me, brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. We're going to let Timo get back to elevating Springfield, but for the rest of y'all, we'll be right back.
Looking for expert tree care with hometown integrity? Look no further than Sangamon Tree Service. They're your trusted local pros, delivering quality workmanship, exceptional customer service, and fair, honest pricing every time. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, their team brings professionalism and care to every job, big or small. Call the name your neighbors trust, Sangamon Tree Service, or visit them today at sangamontreeservice.com. Sangamon Tree Service, rooted in quality, built on trust.
When I first walked into Shudokan Karate Club, I was just looking for a way to get stronger, but what I found was so much more. Here we train in traditional karate, the real stuff, passed down through generations. Every punch, every kata has purpose. I've learned self-discipline, confidence, and how to protect myself. Not just in class, but in real life. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. This is more than a club, it's a way of life. Join us at Shudokan, traditional, powerful, real. Ki-ai!
Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Hey, don't forget, while you're out on social, check ours out. You can check my personal one out at Robert Farrell at everywhere. Check out those Elevate Springfield pages, those Big Dog Business Coaching pages as well. Check us out over on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, give us a like or a follow on any of those channels. We would certainly appreciate it. So hey, take what you learned today. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together, that's right, y'all, we're going to elevate Springfield. Be great.
Looking for personalized insurance with hometown care? David Hilst, American Family Insurance Agents, here to help you protect what matters most: your family, your home, and your dreams. Whether it's auto, home, life, business, David and his team are proud to serve the Springfield community with trusted advice and reliable coverage. Local service, real relationships, peace of mind. Call today or stop by their office. They can build your dream protection plan together. Call 217-726-6343